Okay, good morning. It is May 6, 2025, and this is the regular council meeting for the town Rocky Mountain House, and I will call the meeting to order at 9 a.m. First is acknowledgement of Indigenous peoples. The town of Rocky Mountain House wishes to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 6 territory and a traditional meeting ground and home for many Indigenous peoples, including the Blackfoot, Cree, Saulteaux, Stoney, and Métis. We will move on to the adoption of the agenda. We have an agenda in front of us for today. Is there any additions or changes that need to be made to the agenda? Councillor Musker.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to move that we accept the agenda for May the 6th, 2025 as presented.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Any discussion on that one? Call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to adoption of previous minutes. We have two sets of minutes to adopt here. The first one is from the regular council meeting of April 15th. Is there any errors, omissions, anything that needs to be modified on those minutes? Councillor Shippold.
I also move those minutes, if you'd allow me, Acting Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion? All those in favor? And that is carried. And then we have a set of meeting minutes from our special council meeting of April 28th that need to be adopted. Anybody see any changes or anything that needs to be modified there? Not just looking at Councillor Capraro.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adopt the special council meeting minutes of April 28th.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion? All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we have no delegations today, so we're going to move on to the old business. 7.1, amend the traffic bylaw, and I see Catherine is coming up to talk to us.
Good morning, Council. Reducing speed limits on residential streets downtown and high pedestrian areas makes our streets safer, calmer, and quieter for everyone. Slowing down gives people more time to react to the unexpected and to prevent crashes and reduce the severity of collisions that do happen. Over the years, speeding has been a common occurrence in the town limits, with some streets being narrower than others. Speed reduction would help with the safety of motorists and pedestrians. Speed is a critical component of roadway safety. In a vehicle-pedestrian collision, the pedestrian has a 70% chance of surviving when struck by a vehicle that is traveling at 40 kilometers per hour. At a vehicle speed of 50 kilometers an hour, the survival rate drops to 15% and continues to drop as the vehicle speeds increase. Being that speed limits within the town of Rocky Mountain House are governed through bylaw, specifically the traffic bylaw 2023/07. It was approved at the meeting of council in 2023, May 2nd. An amending bylaw is required to enact the recommended change. Bylaw 2025/08 has been drafted to capture amendments to the traffic bylaw and reduce speed limits in the town as outlined below. Bylaw 2025/08 was given first reading at the April 15th, 2025 regular meeting of council. Since then, there have been some changes, and I will outline those now. So change 1, administration is recommending speed limits to be changed as followed. This is captured as item 2 on the amending bylaw. That unless otherwise posted or provided for in this bylaw, the maximum speed limit within town is as follows. All highways east of Highway 11 are a maximum of 50 kilometers an hour with the exception of for item 1A1, the only change has been the addition of numerical street references for clarity. Item A2, this has been added as it was overlooked in the first draft. B, all highways west of Highway 11 are a maximum of 40 kilometers an hour with the exception of 1. There is no change to this line from the first reading. 2, there is a minor change to as this street continues and merges into another street, so they were separated out. So for this, you can see a minor change on this line and the addition of B11 to capture that additional part of the road. For 3, this entire line was added as it was missed in first reading. 4, this has had no change from the first reading. 5, this was missed from the first reading. 6, there was a typo in the draft bylaw that was presented on April 15th. Administration wrongly corrected it verbally, saying that it should read Highway 11A, but it should actually read 54th Avenue, and that has been corrected in this draft. 7, there is a minor correction to clarify the road area that is referenced here. The next two, 8 and 9, there has been no change to these lines from the first reading. For 10, this was missed in the first reading. 11, this is the one I referenced earlier, where this has been added just for clarity. It's not introducing a new road. And then 12, this was missed from the first reading. Provincial highways would remain either 50 kilometres an hour or 60 kilometres an hour unless otherwise posted. There is a second change captured for second reading of this bylaw. In order to support clear communication for the public and consistent enforcement, it is further recommended that the following is added to the bylaw amendment. This is captured as number 3 on the amending bylaw. The speed limit for all school zones and playground zones will be in effect 24 hours a day. This was not included in the first reading and is captured under the Traffic Safety Act, Section 107, which states that a municipality can change the time period of a playground zone or a school zone by bylaw. In alignment with the guidelines in the Public Participation Policy 009/2024, this bylaw received first reading on April 15th, and we had a gap to allow members of the public time to engage on this item if they wish to do so. So now I will review the feedback that we received. So while there is no legislative public engagement for this direct decision of council, as Council's strategic plan states, we approach decision-making in a democratic, transparent, accountable, and inclusive manner to foster informed dialogue and an engaged citizenry. Following the first reading, a news article appeared in the April 16th edition of The Mountaineer. An explainer and draft map was published on the town's website, and this was shared via town's social media channels. Interested parties were invited to submit comments in writing to the town email. As of April 30th and true as of today, there have been no comments received to the town email. Across all 3 town social media channels, 76% of engagements expressed positivity towards the proposed speed reduction, particularly in residential areas. Other common themes from the feedback: there's a need for enforcement regardless of the speed limit. Highway 11A, also known as 52nd Avenue, and 54th Street as an intersection of concern for pedestrians. Skepticism that this is necessary, or question that pedestrian fatalities are not frequent enough to warrant a blanket speed reduction, and request to keep 60th Street at a 50 kilometre an hour zone. Today, administration is recommending that council give second and third reading to bylaw 2025/08. So we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. Do we have any questions regarding it? Councillor Shepard.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Normally I just need to get my mind refreshed as how we got to this point. So normally we work on a complaint basis, and so I guess my question is, if this bylaw is on a complaint basis, how many complaints have we got? And what was the initiation to get it to this point? Understanding that some of the corrections here are due to the Traffic Act, and I mean, the Traffic Act takes precedence over anything, or provincial laws. I just need to have a refresher is why we're doing this other than all of a sudden it happened. The second part of my question is, should it be a public hearing in terms of rather than just asking for submissions? To be transparent with our community, should we not have a public engagement session for this? Once it's implemented, and it's implemented for a long time, how do we know it is what the public wants if we haven't had complaints? So the first question is about what have we got, if any, and the second part is, being that's blanketing the community, should we not be taking it to a public engagement session?
So acting mayor to Councilor Shippold. So I guess the history behind this, the previous council did a trial in Creekside of changing it to 40 kilometers per hour, and that received positive feedback. Then we had a discussion at this fall's service level review with council, asking council if they want to expand that program to the remainder of the municipality. And council gave administration direction to start that process. So this bylaw is the beginning of that process. So, and we, as the amount of complaints for speeding, I don't have the number with me, but we do get quite often complaints from public for speeding in residential streets. Going to the second question, that is entirely up to council if they want to go beyond the engagement policy and have a greater public engagement process. Initially, when we brought it for first reading, we suggested the council will just put it in social media and see what the response is and bring that back, which administration has done today. But if council elects that they want a public hearing or another type of engagement, that is entirely up to council.
Councilor Shippold.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Thank you for that. I'm just fearful that people aren't aware of what we're doing, and then all of a sudden it impacts the community, and then the question is, did we do ample information out into the community? So I would lean towards, prior to approving it and giving it second and third reading, that we move towards a open house or public consultation with this. Not that it's not going to happen, but just to let people be aware, so all of a sudden it just isn't there. So that'd be my input on it.
Okay, Councilor Capero.
Thank you. From what I've seen driving around other towns, it is becoming more and more popular that municipalities are reducing the speed limit within their boundaries to 40 kilometers an hour. And I think by doing so, you're taking a proactive approach to safety. I mean, you don't want to see where you have these tragic accidents and then it's like, okay, well, maybe we should lower the speed limit. Hearing that we've had 76% positive feedback from where it was shared over our social medias, I mean, I feel comfortable moving ahead with it today. But if council decides they want more public input, I'm fine with that as well. But I think this is a positive thing, and so I would very much be in favor of this.
Okay, do we have any other comments? Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. I feel the same way. I think, we have gone above and beyond because this is the direction of council. We didn't have to do the engagement we did. I think the newspaper and the radio station have covered this story, and again, that was mid-April, so there has been time, and agreeing with Councilor Capero, being proactive as opposed to waiting until something actually happens.
Okay, comments, concerns, questions? Councilor Musker.
Yes, thank you. On another note, I just want to say how pleased I am with the proposed change for lowering the speed, or making the school zone and the playground zones effective 24 hours a day. I always found it odd that you had to check your clock to see what speed you should be going through a playground zone. So thank you for adding that.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? If not, we have some recommended motions in front of us. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. I'll put forward the motion, be it resolved that council gives second reading to bylaw 2025/08 to amend bylaw 2023/07.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Do we have any discussion on that particular motion? Seeing none, I will call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Caprero.
Thank you. I'll make another motion here. Be it resolved that council give third reading to bylaw 2025/08 to amend bylaw 2023/07.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Any discussion on that particular motion? Again, I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we're going to move on to new business. Item 8.1, the Cape Fall meeting. And Mrs. Breeze.
Thank you, Acting Mayor, Council. So at the April 15th regular council meeting, there was a resolution made by our Deputy Mayor Hutchinson that we reach out to Cape to see what the requirements to hold the Cape Fall meeting. I did send an email to Tracy Gardner, and one of the requirements is to have a space that would fit at least 50 to 65 people, catering options for breakfast or lunch or both, and the requirement for the town to cover the cost of the venue. So I did reach out to a few spots, and it seems like the Pine Hills Golf Course was the best option, because the space is obviously big enough to host everybody. They cater, and they also are in our region.
Okay. Thank you for that report. Do we have any comments or discussion on that particular report? Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Just that I think it's a great opportunity to showcase the region. We've been to a number of Cape events that we're always tending to drive at least an hour and a half out to go to them. And I think that we should take advantage of the opportunity to bring elected officials and other people into the region to host this meeting.
Councillor Auld.
Thanks, Acting Mayor. We typically always pay to go to these, do we not? So, okay. Just want to clarify that.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. So I guess, Ms. Breeze, to clarify, so the $600 would be to pay for the facility, and the fee that we're charged to attend covers anything, or is this all 100% our cost then?
So the $600, I just threw that in there, so that would cover GST. That is just to use the Pine Hills Clubhouse for the morning. So the additional fees, because I believe the Innisfil AGM is like $49, those fees are to pay for like the breakfast and whatever else. I've never been to an AGM, so I'm not sure what else they have there, but basically the food and everything else. So this is just to cover the Pine Hills rental.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thanks. And if the registration dollars that's coming from Cape, so it's more or less just kind of, in case those fees aren't covered through Cape, we would have to pay it? No?
Can I get you to clarify?
So, like you said, with the last, or with the other Cape events, they charge $49 per person that's there. And does Cape keep any of that money, or is that money just going directly to cover the cost of the venue and meals?
I'm not even sure how to answer that, Councillor, or Deputy Mayor. I'm not sure how when I reached out to Tracy Gardner, I said, what do you need from us? What are the costs? What are the requirements? And the only thing she said is she would like the town that would be hosting it to cover the venue. Anything else is their responsibility and not ours. So they'll do all their organization of arranging food, and whatever else is needed for that actual meeting. So council's only decision here is, do they want to spend the money to have the venue hosted here and pay for it?
Okay, having said that, I would definitely support that, and so I'll make the motion. Be it resolved that council approve covering the costs of hosting the CAPE 2025 fall meeting at the Pine Hills Clubhouse on Thursday, November 20th, 2025, up to a maximum of $600 coming out of council's promotion and public relations account.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Do we have any discussion on that motion? I'm seeing none. I will call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we'll move on to item 8.2, the AB Muni's resolution. And Mrs. Breeze.
Thank you, Acting Mayor and Council. Excuse my computer, it seems to be acting up too. So you have a resolution before you. I'm going to say this is a rough draft. After I met with Darren Reedy with AB Munis, I was also contacted by the City of Edmonton. They are very interested in joining up and teaming up to make a really good, strong resolution. I met with a panel of their policy writers yesterday afternoon, and they are very much interested in giving feedback, which I actually received this morning from them. So I would like to take this resolution, work with the City of Edmonton, and make it the strongest policy, or strongest resolution we can make it before submitting it in. The deadline to submit it is, I believe, June 30th. We do have a seconder, of course, still Marathon, but with the help of City of Edmonton, I think we can make this just a little bit stronger policy. They gave some really good feedback yesterday on this.
Okay, do we have any discussion on what we just heard? I agree that, this is a very important topic. The education portion of the municipal tax bill is rising at a very, very alarming rate. And residents don't understand the difference between municipal taxes and the school requisition, which all show up on the same bill. So I definitely think if we're going to do this, we've got to make sure it's right, it's strong, and that we can advocate the provincial government to remove this from the responsibility of municipalities and have them collected under their general taxation. So I would be in favor of making sure we get the right wording and the right resolution when we put it forward. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
No, I would totally agree with what you said, especially having that range from the under 1,000 population up to, the city the size of Edmonton, and us in between. The more accurate information and the more we have, making it a stronger bylaw, resolution, I would totally be in favor of that.
Councillor Shippold.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I as well, in the same boat. I know the City of Calgary has sent a bill to the province for collecting their taxes. Not that that's going to get much traction, I don't think, but I think every municipality is in the same boat. So I think we're taking a leadership role in this as our council, and I think it'll pick up traction as we go on with other municipal jurisdictions throughout the province. So the Acting Mayor for bringing it forward. To begin with, thank you. Let's see where it washes at.
Okay, so Mr. Kraus, do we need a motion or direction or? Okay. So is someone prepared, Councillor Shippold?
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor. I'll make the motion that it be resolved we accept the draft resolution as information and have administration bring back to us at the next regular council meeting with any additions or feedback from Alberta Munis. And the City of Edmonton.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Is everyone clear on that particular motion? Do we have any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, item 8.3, the Alberta Summer Games. And I see Mr. Ament is making his way up front.
Morning, Council. So I'm before you today to talk a little bit about the 2028 Alberta Summer Games. So at the request of administration, prepared a brief report with regard to the minister's invitation to bid for the 2028 Alberta Winter or Summer Games. So the Honorable Joseph Shaw, the Minister of Tourism and Sport, recently invited municipalities and band councils to submit a bid to host the 2028 Alberta Winter and Summer Games. The bid process is currently open. Municipalities and band councils can submit bids to host either the 2028 Winter or Summer Games. To bid, a letter of intent and a letter of support from the municipality or band councils must be submitted by June the 30th to Alberta Tourism and Sport, and then complete bids must be received by August 29th of this year. I include a little information on feedback. In 2023, the town of Rocky Mountain House and Clearwater County submitted a bid to host the 2026 Alberta Summer Games. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful in that application. The debrief provided by Alberta Tourism and Sport Office regarding our bid include the following comments. And just to note, I just received that information here a couple of weeks ago. We didn't get feedback right after our submission, so it was a delayed process until council made the resolution asking for me to provide this report. I reached out and so it was very delayed in getting feedback. So I included a little bit of that in my report. So some of the following comments that they provide was in respect to our sport facility deficiencies. You know, athletics, of course, we only have a shale track rather than synthetics. And then we lack some of the areas for the throwing events. In regard to swimming, we only have a 5-lane indoor pool versus the recommended 6-lane and only available spectator seating of 100, where they're looking for seating of close to 300. We do not have a beach volleyball courts at this time. Rugby, we listed in our previous application. There's 2 fields that exist over on the school grounds. Both are in need of upgrading. The food center was to be on one of the arena dry pads. And it was noted that in 2028, lacrosse now has male and female lacrosse and would require use of both the arena dry floors. Therefore, an alternate site for food center would need to be determined. And it was also noted that during their tour, you know, they were looking for greater clarity as to where all the sports and other venue requirements would take place. So based on this information, you know, considerable work would need to be done on our facilities, or a partner community would be needed to submit a possible joint bid to host the games. So if council wishes to move forward with the process to submit another bid, you know, we do have the information gathered in a package ready that we prepared for their bid for the 2026 games. So that would reduce some of the work required to submit an updated bid. And then administration would recommend reaching out to Clearwater County just to ascertain their interest in joining together to submit a bid. A bid committee would also need to be established, as well as we did in 2023. I've attached the bid guidelines in your package. I'm not going to go through that document, but I guess I'll leave it up to council to discuss what direction you'd like us to go from here.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Ament. And we have a discussion from council. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. Was there specifics on the rugby fields? What needed to be upgraded?
No, but in general, the fields over at the Pioneer and Lockhorn schools were the ones we've identified for rugby. And
Because we had football in. with
yeah,
our
we had
last
football
bid.
in the Curtis field, but now we realize that football is not in the list of sports for the Alberta Summer Games. The sports that they're looking for in the Alberta Games are ones that are hosted at the Canada Games, and football was not one of them. But even though they were on the list in the package that we had received for the
The first one.
the first bid.
So the, the rugby, our fields, the football and the practice field are adequate for rugby?
Yeah, I mean, they
More or
would
less.
be adequate for rugby or soccer. Those are the two potential sports. And as long as they're not hosted in the same week, we would have to, again, I would assume if we move forward, we're doing a two-stage hosting, not all the events in one four-day competition. We would probably do it like we did. The bid was over a week. We do have two separate sessions.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both of that. Doing it over just the 4-day, having everybody at once. I mean, you're looking at 2,000 to 2,500 athletes and 1,400 to 1,800 volunteers. And that was the reason why we thought splitting it up would make more sense, that volunteers would be spread over the week. Not to say that there were other things, so you don't have an actual, like the opening ceremonies when it's just the 3 or the 4-day. So you have the big opening ceremonies, which would probably be held at NSRP, and then you'd have closing ceremonies as well with the split format. You have to still do some type of events, but they're not as big. So, I mean, that would be something for consideration. Of course, I think everybody knows that I'm all in favor of going in this direction. With our last bid process and the letter of intent, did that had to include the motions from town and county as well as the school districts being on board? I can't remember.
I believe the bid, as they've outlined it, requires, support from the municipalities. Not all the other letters of support, they would go in the actual bid itself.
Right, that came in the bid package. And with the 2026 bid, so that was about a $2.5 million bid that we put into it, and there was $150,000 committed from town and county to go towards that. They are giving a larger amount coming from Alberta Sports Connection compared to what they were offering us for 2023. But I don't foresee that bid would be that much bigger unless we switched our thought process and went to the smaller format. And then again, if you're having entertainment for opening and closing ceremonies, that budget might change a little bit. So, yeah, I'm in favor.
Councillor Musker, then Councillor Schippold.
Thank you. I'm in favor too, to Councillor Hutchinson's comments, but considering the deficiencies last time and none of that has changed, is this worth pursuing?
Go ahead.
I'll just throw my thoughts. So in the package, there are 14 sports listed. We have the option of doing between 10 and 14 sports. You don't have to do them all. I think the athletics, of course, is the big one. And we didn't really target in on facilities for that. A certified synthetic track, I mean, I don't think I think our oval is very much used as a skating, a four-season kind of thing. And that's going anywhere from $240,000 to about $650,000 to do a synthetic track. So even if athletics was taken off the list, all of the athletics, and that was hosted, like that whole group could be done by another municipality someplace else for those. And other than that, the beach volleyball, we discussed it and we chose to take, it was a different sport instead of that one. But we looked at that during the last bid process, and if that's a fairly simple and shouldn't be a real high cost to create beach volleyball pits. They wouldn't have to be something that's permanent if we chose to not keep them, but there was the volleyball camps that had come to town that wanted the beach volleyball, and they moved their camps to Sylvan, I believe, because they had the beach volleyball. So it may be something that if we did build, we would want to keep. And really, well, and the swimming as well. So we could submit a bid without athletics and swimming, and that would be 12 sports, and would still be, I think, could be a much stronger bid than what we put through for the 2026 games.
Councillor Schipple.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I'm with Councillor Musker on this. I'm just concerned that we're going to spend a lot of time, and there's going to be other communities bidding on it that are going to have facilities that are adequate. In this case, the deficiencies that we have, the list is, to me, substantial. And I know it takes a lot of time to put bids together. So I guess in my mind, I'm going, do we spend time and the energy to put a bid together, knowing that other municipalities will be out there that have facilities that can do this? So knowing where the money's at and how short it is and how tight it is it something that maybe we're just not quite big enough to take on?
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thanks. I think we have to look back at our, strategic planning, and that sport tourism has been something that's on the top of the list. And I've said it before, the momentum that happened after the Masters Games, unfortunately COVID hit. But you look at like our canoe and kayak club, that they've got one of the biggest memberships in the province here. To be able to showcase those kind of things that aren't utilized a lot and are kind of a bit of a secret throughout the province is just one way to continue moving forward and moving our municipality forward. The bid package, as Wes had said, I don't think it would take a lot of substantial time tweaking it and adding to it, because we did a lot of work the first time around. You look at back to the 2019 games, and that budget was just over $1 million. We had a legacy of $145,000 that went back into the community. Unfortunately, some of that legacy funds did not get spent because of COVID, and a lot of groups just dismantled after that. But going through the I forget the name of it, economic impact study that was done after the Masters Games, and there was almost $500,000 being spent. That's just money coming out of people's pockets by the athletes and the people that attended, and that was only over 3 days. So if we're looking at, that was only 900, just about 1,000 athletes. We're looking at double that, and when you're looking at kids coming in, you've got usually 2 parents, maybe a sibling. So the economic impact to the town should, be 3-4 times that what we did with the Masters Games. So I just think it's taking that step forward, and we put it through. If we don't get it, we don't get it, but we know what we needed to change and needed to do different from the last bid. So I don't really think it'll be as much work to complete a bid, just to put the letter of intent forward.
Just a note to council, I will have a report coming to the next council meeting with our rec master plan process. We've identified, as part of that process, there could be an opportunity to have a plan on sport and event tourism, specifically within the rec master plan, which could outline, yes, the potential for this bid, but also what other events, what other sports, or what other opportunities there might be for sport tourism. But just, that'll be coming to the next council meeting, so.
Councillor Ald.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. One of the key takeaways when we had that meeting with the hotel managers, sport tourism was huge. And if you can get to be recognized as a sport tourism destination, you are going to grow your community immensely. So I think it'd be worth putting a little bit of effort into getting this bid put together. I think the economic benefits would be huge. And I think it'd be great for our community to get involved with this.
Okay, so I'll chime in on this as well. I mean, anytime we can bring an event of this magnitude to our area, it does nothing but create economic benefits. And sometimes the legacy of some of these events are we have upgraded facilities. And that's part of the legacy of running an event like that. So to me, I think we should look at putting in the bid. And I don't see it any different than any other studies and projects that we try and put forward. I see this as something else that we're trying to do for economic development and to promote the town of Rocky Mountain House throughout the province. So I think putting in a bid, or at least trying to put in a bid, would be a good thing at this point. Okay, do we have any further discussion? Councillor Caprero.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and make a motion. Be it resolved that council direct administration to seek a partner community to prepare a letter of intent to host the 2028 Alberta Summer Games, along with a letter of support to submit to Alberta Sport and Tourism.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have any more discussion on that motion? See none, call out to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we're going to move on to item 8.4, the Wayfair signing. I see Mr. Schwader coming up front.
Morning, Acting Mayor, Council. Before Council today regarding the wayfinding program, started back in December of 2023. In February 11th of this year, Council directed administration to do RFP for the signage program. I'm back before Council in regards to, we did get some RFPs. We got 7 of them. 4 of them were above the budgeted amount, which left us with 3. The lowest bid didn't meet their requirements for the project. So the administration team has decided that the 137 was the proper proposal in regards to the project. And there's some alternatives and recommendations. And I guess if there's questions regarding the wayfinding signs, I guess we can answer them for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schwader. Does council have any questions? Councillor Schipholt.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. So I'm still not 100% sure what we're getting. I read through the report, and it says on page 17 to 18, it talks about what the signs are going to look like. And in that report, it still makes reference to different components of the signs. I think the bid price, number one, is shocking. I was hoping it would come into something more palatable, maybe in the 70 or 80,000 range, to have a look and see what we're going to get. But I look at this as, is this a traffic sign that's 1 foot in diameter, or a traffic sign that's got flashing lights around a perimeter? It doesn't go into any detail as to what we have here, as to what the signs will look like. So I guess you're looking for council to make a $132,000 decision, basically, and I'm not sure what we're getting. So I would love to see what a finished product looks like. The pictures that are even in here, the design is not for construction. So I'm not sure if it's changed or what it looks like. So is there any way of knowing what we're getting, where we're getting, and what it's going to look like?
Well, as far as it's right here on the paper here, as far as what we're going to get. The dimensions are here, the height, what's going to go on the sign.
But it refers to a bunch of different signs in that bid document. There's
just on regarding pages 17 and 18, those are the signs that we're proposing. Primary vehicle, secondary vehicle, and the map signs, which is on page 18. So those are the phase one of the project. So I'm not sure how much more that I can, I guess, describe what the signs look like.
So this is what the signs are gonna look like? They're gonna
Correct.
be aluminum or wood?
Yeah, aluminum, yeah,
Aluminum?
yeah, yeah. And the posts will be, I guess, Douglas fir, I believe, posts. So,
So are you confident in your own mind, you know what these are gonna look like when they go up?
I guess if, you know, once we meet with the company, and, you know, and their bid was bang on in regards to what we were looking for. So, until we meet with them and, go through what the project's about, but they know what the project's about. You know, we've more or less given them the specs. So, and they've quoted us on the specs.
So you're confident that, you know,
You know, I haven't worked with this company before, but their references were very good. So,
so where I'm at is 132,000, not sure, I'm not 100% sure I know what we're getting. Could we look at a lesser amount of money and get some up to see what they look like? Like, say, if we budgeted 100,000 or 80,000 and said, let's put some up and know if we're gonna like them and see what we get for feedback.
I guess
Like
that's
reading the
council's.
report, it's a wow.
That's council's decision in regards to if you want to lower the amount. I guess the 6 primary vehicles are reduced to 4, and secondary vehicles are reduced to 4 as well. And if we work within that budget, that's the budget the council allows us to work with.
Okay. I see Councillor Mooster has a question.
Yes, thank you. This estimate you've been given for this first phase of the project, does it include installation by the company?
That is correct, yes.
So there may be an opportunity to have operations do the installation for us, or the town operations department. Would that also lower the cost?
I guess these guys are professionals and they do this throughout the province. So I rather, if you want to be guaranteed and confident, I'd rather see them do it rather than Public Works.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Shippold.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I guess the thing I'm at is the feedback, the public feedback has not been 100% positive about this sign project. Heard from many who are saying, like, what are you spending this on? And so I want to be somewhat cautious walking into this program. It may have the best result at the end of the day, that even better than what we anticipate. But at this point, that isn't out there. That isn't the perception. So I guess I would prefer your thinking or your thought process around maybe putting in 4 of each to begin with and say, hey, here's what we're going to get. See what the community says. Hit it on a more cautious tone.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. I mean, I think we've gone down this road. We've had a number of conversations about it. To say that there's so many people against it, I mean, you always, the ones that are negative tend to make the most noise. I think that it's part of a bigger vision, and I thought, council was on that page that we're going in a direction where, just back to the last resolution, tourism is becoming, or we're hoping for that to become a bigger part of the community, and to have the consistency and signs that are eye-catching. We've talked about trying and how do we get people off of the highway to come into the downtown area. I followed in other towns. You see that, like the bigger sign that's on the right there, and it's there. You see it. It's right in your face, as opposed to 6 different little signs that have little pickets here, there, and whatever. I think we proceed as we're going. We are, $60,000 less than what the original budget amount was, and we proceed with what is in front of us, and, you know, that still gives us that year. If by chance it's something that people are targeting and tearing down our signs or whatever it may be, and we look at that as we go into next year's budget.
Councillor Caprero.
Thank you. I think the other thing to keep in mind is that this is a three-phase approach. Any negative talk that I've seen online about it, it's so like the full dollar amount, $600,000 on signs. It's a three-phase approach. Council may opt to do the first phase, and that's it, right? There's nothing guaranteeing that all three phases are going to be completed. Clearly not $600,000 is going to be spent. I think it's going to give the town a really clean look, a really vibrant, fresh. I mean, I think it's a good investment in our community, so, but I just, for the public, nothing is set in stone in terms of how much is going to be spent at the end of the day by doing three phases, because we may not do three phases. Council may feel happy with the first one. So anyways, I would be in support of this.
Okay, more comments, concerns, questions? So looking, I mean, myself looking at this, you know, we're talking 20-foot signs. They're, you know, just based on the one that we have up on the board here, that's going to be probably close to about a 20-foot sign. So they're going to be quite substantial. They're going to be very noticeable. I hear what Councillor Schipel is saying about downsizing from maybe 6 to 4. There's two trains of thought on that. Yes, that will decrease the amount for sure, but it will also decrease the impact as well. And I don't know if there's a happy medium between something like that or not. I like the concept, I like the idea. I'm also concerned a little bit about the price tag, but as Councillor Caprero alluded to, this is a three-phased approach that phase 2 and 3 may not happen. They may happen, but that's for future decisions to be made. Councillor Caprero.
Sorry, and just further to that, if we go ahead and we do the first phase, I mean, we could get some really positive feedback. Once people see it and we have, you know, that input, people might actually really like it. So, anyways.
Okay, more questions, concerns, comments? Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thanks. I'm going to go ahead and put forward the resolution, if I can find it. Be it resolved that council proceeds with the wayfinding sign project at the amount of $137,928.13 from the 2025 budgeted amount of $200,000.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Do we have any discussion on that particular motion? I am seeing none, so we'll call that to a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to item 8.5, the joint town and council letter regarding surgical privileges. So this is a meeting that we had recently with AHS. And this is a chance for us to have conversation and discussion on what happened and what we feel about the discussion and what we think next steps may be. So this is just kind of an open discussion. Councillor Auld.
Thanks, Dr. Mayor. I myself was not very impressed with how the meeting went. I think we got a lot of fluffy information that was not answering our questions that we had, didn't answer specific questions that we had, and I don't feel that that meeting is going to result in getting us what we want as far as information back to privileging and recruitment and who gets what, and I think we need to proceed with going to that inquiry from the government into what's going on. Even after the meeting, there was more conversations back and forth that didn't seem to coincide or come out of the meeting that we had. Just doesn't seem like anybody is on the same page. So I was pretty disappointed in that meeting, and I think we need to hold them accountable still and move forward with this inquiry.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sheffield.
I totally agree with Councillor Ald. I think we need to move forward and continue on our trek as to where we're at and see what happens. I mean, there's been a few things happen in the last week, but I think we've made a note, you know, we've definitely, they're aware of us at the town and county and where we're at, but I do think we need to continue on and keep our foot on the pedal.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was very, very nice to see that the town and county were very focused on this topic and brought the same message forward to AHS that we're looking for something to change because what we have now isn't working. And I agree, we need to keep our foot on the gas. We need to keep the message going because I as well felt that we were given a lot of fluff and a lot of canned comments that they give to every community, and I don't think that we got a lot of improvement. So what do we want to do as far as a next step? Do we want to engage the county more? What do we want to do as a council? Councillor Ald.
I think we've signed the joint letter to the Minister of Health. I think we reach out again to see where that letter is at and whether they're going to look at doing any investigation into it. I just think we keep pushing.
Okay, I'm seeing some nods. I'm seeing some eyebrows raised, so I'm not sure what we mean by that. Councillor Caprero.
I just have a question. During that meeting, AHS had said that they were going to supply councils with information as to what surgical privileges were allowed at our Have we gotten anything like that yet? I mean, if not, maybe it's even just a reminder like, hey, we're still waiting on this. Can someone please send that information that you promised you would send?
That's one of the issues that I have is that they said they were going to do something and they didn't do anything. So unless we keep pushing them to get that information, which they said was readily available, then.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. I was away for that meeting, but from what I'm hearing, would it be to direct admin to write another or follow up a joint letter between the town and the county on the meeting that both councils had with them? Would that be what the council's looking for? Is it in the form of a letter to follow up first and then looking for another meeting? Like that.
Are you talking to the AHS portion or to the minister? Or
I
both?
wasn't there, so
Okay.
I'm not sure who was at the meeting.
Okay. Councillor Ald and Councillor Shippold.
But just Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, we sent in a letter to the minister to conduct an inquiry. I would like that inquiry to happen. So I don't think having another meeting with AHS is going to move things forward. So I think it's going to fall back to the government to push it. I don't know if we need to do another joint letter to the ministry other than to proceed with that inquiry.
Councillor Shippold.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I'm just wondering if we should write a letter to Dr. Hoffman and Dr. Jameson saying, as per our meeting, we're still waiting for the letter indicating what privileging we do have in Rocky. I did talk this past week to the head surgeon in Red Deer who is responsible for doing up that list, and he's aware that there's a list. We were told at the meeting that the list is consistent from hospital to hospital in rural. He said it's not, so there's conflicting stories there. So I just said, well, we as a council are waiting for the letter that Dr. Hoffman said it was coming, and so when's that letter coming? So we'll see, I think, what happens. But I think as a follow-up, another letter may go to them saying, thanks for, meeting with us. We still have questions, and one is, when can we anticipate this letter to come? So just to be in there, to let them know that we're still in the queue, wait and see looking for action. I think we pretty much made it right clear with them as to where we're at. I know Dr. Ludwig had mentioned on Monday, I spoke to him, and that Dr. Hoffman had a conversation with him saying that both councils are very tough on them, and used the word tough several times in his conversation. So that tells me that they know that we're concerned about healthcare in our community as a council, our councils. So I think if there was a follow-up letter at this point, it might be to Dr. Hoffman and Dr. Jameson, looking for the list.
I'm going to suggest that we probably would have two letters, one going to the doctors, Dr. Hoffman, looking for our list, and the other one going to the minister regarding the inquiry. I think they're two separate letters, but I think we need to take action on this, because it's not just about privileging. This is part of the equation. The other part of the equation is our emergency department keeps getting shut down on a regular basis. And honestly, I think that's become the norm. That's, when they can't get things done, they just shut down the ED, and that is shocking and alarming, and it's got to stop. So I think we need to send these letters so that we get some action, because I don't think we're getting it right now. So what do we need to, Councillor Auld?
That meeting was over a month ago now. In that meeting, I asked if we could have that letter within 2 weeks, and they said no. It would probably take a little longer than that, but I'd make a motion that we instruct administration to send another letter to the doctors that were present at that meeting, looking for the list of what we were allowed to do in the Rocky Hospital, and another letter to Minister of Health regarding where we're at with the inquiry.
Okay, so thank you for that motion. Comments, concerns, Councillor Schipholt?
Just one, would you support that coming from both the county and the town councils?
Yes, definitely, as a joint letter.
So are you prepared to amend your motion for that?
Yep, amended to include the county.
Okay. Okay, so is everyone clear on that particular motion? Any more discussion on that motion?
I just want to make
Councillor
sure our
Schipholt.
administration is clear on this, because I know Mr. Kraus wasn't present for that meeting, so I just want to make sure that.
Yep, no, I think we are, but we need to coordinate with the county. They might be drafting us a letter already to summarize the meeting. So we'll coordinate with Clearwater County to make sure it's a joint letter. And we can follow up with the minister. I don't know if you really want to send another letter. It's only been a month. I mean, their inquiry, I would expect a response within 2 to 3 months for that type of inquiry. Up to council, though. We could administratively phone the deputy minister and inquire about it and bring it back to council, or we can draft another letter, but that should also be joint with Clearwater County.
Okay, Councillor Auld.
I'd be willing to amend my motion to have admin reach out to the deputy minister just as a verbal, see where we're at, and then go from there.
So I just want to have some clarification on Councillor Auld's motion, just because we've modified it a few times. So your motion is to send a letter to the doctors that were present,
A joint letter.
joint letter, yes, and then have administration contact the ADM regarding our letter that was sent to the minister.
Yes.
Okay. Just for clarification, just so council is aware of the motion and what we're going to be voting on. Do we have any discussion on that particular motion? Councillor Auld, your light's still on. No, nothing more. Okay, I will call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, so we're going to move on to item 8.6, Deputy Mayor Hutchinson's notice of motion on a housing study.
So there are kind of two parts to this. One part was the town should be receiving a letter soon from Rocky Senior Housing to give back the money that was allotted for a housing study. Rocky Senior Housing was going to take the lead on that, but after we did further investigation on it, because our mandate is seniors only, it wouldn't encompass a study that would be an entire regional housing study. The other part is the Unstoppable Housing Group. There were a number of questions that had gone out to different housing providers. There was Rocky Support Services. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. Anyway, there's 4 or 5 of them. And in those questions that were asked, it all came back that there has not been a needs assessment done on housing since 2016. So it's really hard for them to go forward knowing, you know, what type of housing they need, what they can, you know, if there's interest in, I know one of the groups does have additional property that we're possibly thinking of expanding, but they don't know what the need is. So with those two things coming into effect, I thought that it would be something that council could direct administration to look into a regional housing needs assessment in partnership with the county. That would be used, I forget what the number was that was given to Rocky Senior Housing for that, but to be taking that money and putting it towards a regional housing needs assessment done in partnership with the county. It's kind of a little bit of an all-around over the place background. So any questions that anybody has?
I just have one question, Mr. Kraus. I know you can't answer this on the spot, but what kind of an estimation will we have on a cost of that kind of a study? And if you can't answer that, that's fine.
I would have to come back to
Okay.
council on that, and it depends on the scope, right? I mean, if it's regional housing that cover all aspects of housing, from seniors housing to affordable, whatever affordable is these days, multifamily, single-family dwelling, it depends on the scope of it. But I would suggest a pretty comprehensive scope. We have a new federal government that has a mandate to increase housing. So I'm sure there'll be federal grants out there for housing initiatives. So and we would need a housing study to apply for those grants. So I think it's imperative that we as a municipality do this.
Deputy Mayor, Councillor Schipholt and then Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. To Councillor Hutchinson, would this take in extended care as well?
I guess that would be what, you know, depending on what direction we give admin. I was looking at the last one that was done in 2016. I don't know that it had covered anything in that, but that would be something I think that could be included, given the issues that we have around that in our hospitals, and whether or not there is sufficient space to have those patients that need that little bit of extra care. So it could encompass all of that, but that would just be direction that we give admin, how detailed we want it. Oh, I was gonna say, sorry, it was under $30,000 that was contributed between the town and the county to Rocky Senior Housing for the study. So, I mean, we'll be getting that money back, but in essence, that's already earmarked for something. So it may only be an additional, maybe 10,000. I don't know how we would cost share that with the county.
Councillor Capraro.
Thank you. I just have a question. So, Councillor Hutchinson, your notice of motion is to encompass Rocky and the county in doing a joint one, but then I have a question for Mr. Kraus, just in regards to having something ready for granting when they become available. Does it need to be strictly Rocky Mountain House, or can it be a regional housing study?
No, I think it could be a regional housing study, because a portion of that will be the needs within Rocky. So if we apply only for Rocky, then we could still use that report.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. We've also had conversation with Rocky Senior Housing with Minister Nixon, and they're very interested on supporting regional housing projects that could be, I forget the term, the multi, where it could be some senior, it could be some low income, it could be some regular income. And there are granting opportunities available, but and we could do them like 5, say in Rocky, we could do 5 in Caroline, and maybe wherever 5 in Leslieville, depending what the need is, and lump it all underneath one grant. But I think it's important to have, and if the Rocky Senior Housing continued on with a study, that would be, so to speak, the property of Rocky Senior Housing, whereas if it's done through the town and county, it's available for both town and county to use for future.
Yeah, so I agree with Deputy Mayor Hutchinson. This is something we should move forward on, especially with the new federal government, and housing is a priority for both provincial and federal governments. If we want to take advantage of granting, we have to have our ducks in a row and studies done and showing the need that we have as a region, so I would support having this done. Councillor Auld.
I was just gonna add, there is always people, social media complain about us doing studies. We study everything. And I think it's a good thing if we don't have these studies done, we're not eligible for the grants when they come available. If they're not sitting on the shelf, you're out of luck. So I'm full support of having this study done to get us in the right position.
Okay, more discussion? We do have the motion in front of us. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, did you want to reread that motion?
Now it came up. Yes, I will. Be it resolved that council direct administration to look into a regional housing needs assessment in partnership with the county. Is that sufficient, Mr. Kraus?
Yeah, and so the step we would take, we'd actually draft a letter signed by the acting mayor to the reeve, so we bring it to the political or the governance level at first, so they can take it to their council.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the motion on the table. Any more discussion on that motion? Call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. We'll move on to Councillor Schiphol's notice of motion for business attraction.
Yes, I put that forward as we are looking at development around our community. Often we talk to different businesses, and their first question is, what are traffic counts, what's our population, what is the business environment in your community? And so what I'm suggesting here is, sorry, Councillor Auld, I know, another study. That we would do a study in terms of attracting business to our community by showing them what we have, what our trading area is, and surrounding areas. So it's really part and parcel of, as we talk to a business, that we have a package that we can give them that shows detailed information on where our community's at, and looking forward in terms of what's coming down the tube for different projects. And so hopefully it allows us to attract some of these businesses to our community.
So I just have a question. I don't know if there should be Mr. Kraus or Mr. Hartling. Is this something that could be done in conjunction with CAPE and the initiative that they're putting forward?
I'll try to answer, and Mr. Hartling can correct me if I get it wrong. But, so what CAPE is proposing is a community profile that they would initiate or start, and that would cost us $6,000. We'd have to, and that would get us to a certain point. It'd be a community profile of where we're at today. I think what administration is envisioning something a little bit more informative, that provides more information for investors, bring it to the point where this is where Rocky is today and why you should invest in Rocky now. And then taking it a little bit further and saying, okay, but this is also what's coming in the future or anticipating the future. So if we look at Valerie Resources, for example, we can add that and saying this is being proposed and to start in 2028, and here's the impact that we think is going to happen on our community. It's going to create so many jobs. It's going to require so much housing. It's going to require, so these support businesses. So more of an attraction. So I wouldn't even, it's more of an investment profile than a study. But, and there's also Paramount, who's told us they're going to invest over $500 million in this region over the next so many years. Okay, so what does that mean to our community? Like how many jobs, what subsidy businesses could be complemented with this? So I think we're looking at taking that further. Am I correct, Mr. Hartley? Okay.
You are correct, Mr. Gross.
And so with the $6,000 with CAPE, that won't get us to that point. I believe Mr. Hartling has talked to a consultant of taking it to the level that we're thinking of, if council agrees. And I believe they said they could work in conjunction with CAPE, but they're all pulling the same data. Or we can not partner with CAPE on it and do our own report. But I think you were getting costs on that,
Yeah.
I think. So.
It'll be over and above the CAPE project with the community profiles. So doing the investment attraction profile for Rocky Mountain House, we're looking to the tune of about $10,000 on that, which actually we're getting a bit of a discount because they already have that data that they're purchasing for the community profiles of those who are participating with that initiative with CAPE. So that's given us that leverage to be able to get a pretty comprehensive report all in one package. We do have packages, but we have different reports, and this way we can bring it all together and hopefully be, a living document, very lively document for the next 5 years in our various initiatives.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask that because like our community profile last was 2020. The economic development strategy was 2021. So is this going to kind of pull all those things and kind of be in one place so you're not looking at something from 2020 and now we'll have another one that's 2025, or is it going to kind of combine all that together?
On the economic development strategy, that is coming due as well. I think we'll be having to look at, that's a whole nother totally community engaged report from the stakeholders in the community. With that, of course, the investment attraction profile will be somewhat as well, but not as much as the economic development strategy. There are still items in that strategy that we're still, continuing to work on, but I think it was a very good initiative that we did back 4 years ago. There were some good things that come out of it. I can't allude to it at this moment in time, but it's another one that helps us with that investment attraction overall. I've used it many times when I'm out there and engaging with businesses, or even our existing businesses looking at, their expansions and, future going forward with their initiatives.
Councillor Shippold.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. To Mr. Kraus, where would we get the money from if we were to do this study?
It would come from council's priority reserve.
Thank you.
Councillor Capero.
I'd be in favor of this. Us as council, one of the biggest things we're looking at is growth. We want to grow our community, grow our tax base. And so I think doing something like this and having something like this prepared is just a key aspect of that. So I would be in favor.
Okay, do we have more discussion? I see your finger reaching. Councillor Shippold.
If there's no more discussion, then I'd be prepared to make the motion. And so that motion, and this may need a bit of tweaking, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Let it be resolved, the council direct administration to look into alternatives for a study in terms of attracting businesses into our community with funding to a maximum of 15,000, come from the council's priority reserve. And if that needs to be changed, please let me know.
So our understanding is, so we'll bring back a report to the next council meeting with the alternatives. There'll be two alternatives. One, we partner with CAPE and add on to theirs, or we not partner with CAPE and do it on our own.
Yeah.
So then I could leave my motion as it is and just remove the portion about the money, because that would come back in your
Yes.
report to council.
Yeah.
So I will do that. I'll change the motion just to read as it is been
Okay.
indicated without any reference to money.
So then the motion you just mentioned, you're rescinding that motion? And just going back to the original motion?
Correct.
Correct, okay. So would you like to just read your original motion then?
And yes, I can. Let it be resolved that council direct administration to look into alternatives for a study in terms of attracting businesses into our community.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion on that motion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call it to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, yeah, we'll take a quick 5-minute break, and then we will continue on with our agenda. Okay, we are back to our regular meeting, and we're going to move on to item 9.1, correspondence for action, the forestry dinner on May 13th, 2025. I did see that Councillor Hutchinson had advised us that the response date for this was May 1st. But I guess the first question is this something that we should be attending or not be attending? Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. I think we should attend. I actually had Bob say,
Yeah, I have.
"Are you going?"
Yep.
So having said that, I believe staff has already RSVP'd.
Yes.
Just to be sure, for 2 people. So I would be interested in attending with the acting mayor if council would be approve that.
Yep, I am able to attend this event as well. Councillor Auld.
I would just make the motion that acting mayor and deputy mayor both attend the forestry dinner May 13th.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion? All those in favor? That is carried. 9.2, it's parade season, so we have have an invitation to Sylvan Lakes 1913 Days celebration on June 6th. Deputy Mayor, or Councillor Shippold, sorry.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I would make a motion that we ask administration to send a letter saying thank you for the invitation, but unfortunately we were unable to attend.
Okay. Thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion? Seeing none, call out to a vote. All those in favor, and that is carried. Moving on to correspondence for information. We have 3 items for information. Is there anything anyone needs to discuss out of there, or if not, we're just looking for a motion? Oh, I thought I saw your hand go there. Councillor Moosker.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I want to speak to the cover letter from Mr. Lauren Thompson. A couple of things caught my eye, and I just wanted to highlight them. In the second paragraph, it says the town of Rocky Mountain House has a very good municipal emergency plan and continues to improve upon it annually. And farther down, the second last paragraph says, keep up the great work on your emergency management program. So the fact that Mr. Thompson acknowledges the quality of our municipal emergency plan needs to be recognized. And so I'd like to thank Mr. Kraus as the Director of Emergency Management and everyone else who is involved in the success of our municipal emergency program. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Moosker. Councillor Shippold.
Thank you. This is to do with 10.3, the senior housing. 4.7, there's an agenda item about towing a trailer with a staff vehicle. And I was debating what towing a trailer with a staff vehicle is all about.
Because we have the properties in Caroline and Leslieville, there may be times where a stove or a fridge or something that we have here needs to be taken into one of those other units. So it was requested by staff that they get paid. The only vehicle to use to pull it would be their own vehicle. So they asked if we could come up with a rate for them to take their personal vehicle to, it's very minimal, it's maybe once or twice a year, but staff should be paid
Okay.
for use.
Thank you for that. It didn't make sense towing a trailer with the vehicle. I'm going, what the heck? The other one is 5.3, and that's to do the dining room floor or flooring. I'm not sure what that is all about. So could you update us on that?
Sure. So it's come to our attention, well, it was a couple of years ago, actually, in front of one of the elevators where the concrete is kind of crumbling and becoming very soft. So they had fixed the area in front of the elevator, and it's been noticed in the dining room. Like, if you stand back, you can actually see, especially with so many walkers going along, like you can actually see the ruts, grooves in it. So it's going like this. So the entire we talked about just getting the flooring done, like redo that level of flooring, but the flooring company in town isn't interested in even attempting it because the foundation underneath is deteriorating. So we'll be having somebody come in to do the site review. The problem we have with replacing that dining room floor is how do we accommodate the residents for meals during that time? It could be very costly if it was, do we bring in a mobile kitchen type unit to be able to feed them, or do we go back to COVID days where we're feeding, taking the plates to each of their rooms? It's not something we want to jump into because it's going to open a can of worms, I think. And there's no recourse going back because the building's, what is it now, 12 years old, 13 years? It should never have deteriorated that fast, so there was something that happened in the initial inspection phases, whatever. It wasn't the proper type of concrete to be put down under there, so more will be determined once they come out and inspect it.
Okay, anything else on correspondence for information? If not, just looking for a motion to accept that as information. Councillor Schippold.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I also make the motion that we approve the correspondence items from 10.1 to 10.3 as information.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion. Call out to a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Moving on to the action list. Mr. Kraus.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. So going through the open items, so conduct a review of review outline plan. Mr. Schwader and I are meeting with the consultant on May 26th to initiate that project. Sorry, the computer just popped up. Winter Games, Council will address that today. Cape Fall meeting, Council will address that today. The next one is proceed to ICC with the FCSS. That meeting is scheduled for this Friday. Proceed with contracting out the operation of the wastewater treatment plant. That's in progress right now. Resolution to Alberta Munis, Council addressed today. Feasibility study for data center, that is in progress. Disc golf, we will be bringing back a report to council on May 20th on our discussions with the school division for that project. Organic, or the food cycling, that's to be presented to council next week. ATCO franchise agreement, we are still waiting for ATCO to respond to us with Alberta Utility Commission approval. And the forfeiture property we are still working on, and we are going to encourage our legal counsel to maybe speed that process up. So that is it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kraus. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson has a question.
Yeah, just on the organics. I have family that lives in Edmonton, and she's in a condo apartment type building, and they've just been given the green bin for multifamily units in Edmonton, the organics. I don't know how haven't dove into that very much, but if Edmonton's something, or has started something like this, it might be some good background information we can look into for what we're looking for.
Okay, anything else on the action list? Not just looking for a motion to accept as presented. Councillor Caprero.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to accept the action list from May 6, 2025 as presented.
Thank you for that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Moving on to administrative inquiries. Do we have any administrative inquiries today? Okay, seeing none, I will move on to notices of motion. Any notices of motion today? Seeing none, then we will move on to closed session. Take a quick break, and quick 5-minute break, and we'll go into closed session. we can go back. Okay, we are back live streaming, and I'm just looking for a motion to go into closed session. Councilor Caprero.
I can make that motion.
Okay, thank you for that motion. All those in favor? We are now in closed session. Okay, we are back in live session, and we have a few motions coming out of closed session. The first one, Councillor Schippold.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. My first, the motion I would like to make would be for administration to move forward on the consultation process to review the proposed offsite levies and the utility master plan.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call out to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. And our next motion, Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Thank you. Be it resolved that council requests administration to consult with Baker Tilly to determine if they would be open to an additional extension of the existing audit contracts.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Any discussion? Call out to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. And Councillor Musker.
Yes, thank you. I move that we accept CAO dialogue for information.
Okay, thank you. Discussion on that? All those in favor? That is carried. And Councillor Caprero.
Thank you. My motion is be it resolved that council instruct Edmund to prepare a draft P3 agreement.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Discussion on that motion? See none, call out to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. And I will adjourn the meeting at 12:10.